Everybody, and welcome to our live recording of the Biosafety Clearinghouse Project Phase 2 on how to use the BCH Management Centre for registering information in the Biosafety Clearinghouse. I'm your presenter, Rachel Shibalira. I have been a BCH Regional Advisor for the African region since 2005, I think. And I have facilitated in several BCH seminars, both at national level and regional levels. I will first do some in-house skipping and basic rules before we go to the main presentation. On your screen, you will see two panels. You have the attendant control panel and you have the presenter's screen, which is on the left hand. Most of the time you will see the presenter skill, but on this attendant control panel, all your microphones at the moment are on mute so that we can have just one person speaking, and everyone is in listening mode. Should you wish to raise a question or a comment, then you may click on the button that has the hand tool and you will be given the floor. You will flag our attention and we will be given the floor. Still on this tenant panel, you will see the view button. You will see the view button, and you need to uncheck this option, auto hide the control panel, if you want to keep if you want to be attended to, if you want to be listened to. This is a quick bar, and this arrow that is pointing towards the left will show, towards the right will show, or will hide the control panel. So if you click on it, it will either bring it up or it will hide it, depending on where it is. You are all on a microphone or the speaker mode, so that we can have just one person speaking at a time, and your microphones have been muted. Again, as I said, if you wish to raise a question, click on the raise your hand button and we'll get your attention. You may choose not to speak if you don't want to speak, and you can enter your question in this box or comment. It is also important that I bring to your attention that this session is being recorded. The BCH2 project has been developing education material, and this seminar forms part of the material that will later be uploaded to be included in the BCH education material. It is our understanding that when you're participating in this webinar, we have your consent for you to be recorded. If you do not wish to be recorded, then please stay silent and just ask the question or raise a comment through writing if you do not wish to raise your voice. The opinions and the concepts expressed during this webinar do not necessarily reflect the official position of UNEP. The Secretariat to the Convention of the Biological Diversity is the custodian of the protocol, and if you have any specific question or need official advice on the protocol, then please feel free to contact the Secretariat for more information. As I've said, this is a live recording session, and you will see the red button flickering. It will show that the webinar is being recorded. Excuse me. Um, Now, to go into the main agenda of our seminar today, we will look at, we'll introduce what the BCH project is briefly, what it is about, and then we'll go into the topic of discussion today, which is registering information in the Biosafety Clearinghouse. We will see the people who can register information. We will also see what kind of detailed guidelines and exercises that are available in this training kit on registering information. We will see the different categories of information that can be registered. We will see the type of national information. We will see the roles. If you're a national figure appointed to do the national registering of information, we'll see the different roles, either as the national focal point or the national authorized user. And then we'll also see the other category of information, the reference information, and how to use the BCH training site. The overall objective of the Biosafety 2 capacity building project was and it still is to assist eligible countries to strengthen their national capacities so that they are able to effectively access and use the Biosafety Clearinghouse with a view of promoting regional and sub-regional collaboration, networking, and exchange of experiences both at the national level and the regional Biosafety Clearinghouse management. The project had 5 components, and for our purposes, we will concentrate on the second component, which is still ongoing. The second component was to continue to do an in-depth fine-tuning and to develop knowledge training packages in 5 UN languages. These languages are Arabic, English, Spanish, Russian, and French. The platform where this BCH education resources can be found is http://moodle.bch.cbd.int. If you want to find the details of the different learning materials, please go to this website and you will see the material that has been developed. You need to be registered so as to, anyone can access. I need to say upfront that anyone can access the virtual learning environment, but you need to be registered so that you're able to go in and get the, to familiarize yourself. To be a registered user, kindly send an email to moodle@bch2project.org. Give your first name, give your last name, give your country, and Ernesto Campo is in charge of this, and he will register you and give you access, the access codes, so that you're able to use the Moodle. We have the global public courses, and as I have said, they are in the 5 languages. We have them in the English language, we have them in Spanish, we have them in French, we have them in Russian and Arabic. For our purposes, we will stay with the English training courses. I'm going to go to the Moodle site so that we're able to see okay. So when you go to the Moodle, you will see the Biosafety Clearinghouse project. There is the banner. And you'll be able to see all our courses, webinar in English. You will be able to see the videos and the presentations that have been done previously as part of the training material. They have all been uploaded. And we need to ask ourselves, why is it important for us to use the BCH Management Centre to register information? Some facts, basic facts, are that as a party to the Cartagena Protocol, countries that are parties to the protocol have the obligation to upload certain information. When you sign, ratify the protocol, there are certain obligations that you must meet and therefore provide basic information on the BCH. Aside from that, it is convenient that we have our country information or information on institutions, information on products relating to living modified organisms. It's important that we have, in our own interest, we have that information published in the BCH if we need to be able to communicate with other countries on products that emanate from our countries. Sadly, this information can be very extensive. The information to be registered in the BCH it's a lot of information. Some of it is technical, some of it is scientific, some of it is legal, and you cannot have one person doing all these different roles. So it is important that different agencies collaborate on how to collect this information and upload the information so that the information is disseminated. You may also be part of a non-governmental institution and you wish to publish a reference information on the BCH. For example, if you're a laboratory or you're an academy or if you're a researcher and you have certain information that you may find useful or you want to share, for example, capacity building information, or a researcher sharing information on risk assessment, it is important that you publish this information on the BCH and share it globally. Therefore, we ask ourselves, how can we perform the BCH information registering task? How can we minimize the corresponding costs? And how can we be assured that the information being uploaded is secure? The answer to this, or the solution, is the BCH Management Centre. When you go to the BCH Management Centre, information that has been put there is international. It is information that has been verified, information that is factual, and therefore it's a useful tool for people dealing with living modified organisms. We also have related education resources. It's not just these seminars that have been recorded. On the BCH virtual learning enrollment, we have public courses. A lot of training material has been developed. We have, for example, manuals. We have exercises, case studies. For example, case study 16 is very relevant to registering information. You may find a case study on registering a contact person. Case study 18 is also very relevant, and then shortly I'm going to show you these case studies. We have quick reference guides. If you want to know how to quickly start the BCH, if you want to know how the different record types on the BCH, if you want to know decisions and declarations that have been, you will find it in the quick reference guide. If you want to know the time frame for posting information, the quick reference guide gives you this. Also on the BCH site, you will see the help section, and you'll also see the BCH training site. I'm just going to take you to that site so that we can see these different documents that I have spoken about. As I said, you will see the BCH clearinghouse. You'll see the banner of the project, and in this part you will find all the public training courses in the different languages as we spoke. On the left hand side, these are courses that have been developed by the different countries at the national level, so you have to have access to go in here. They are specific to the countries. You'll be able to see on the right hand side the English webinars, the webinars as posted in the different languages that we spoke about. We have it in English, we have it in Spanish, we have it in French, we have it in Arabic, and we have it in Russian. So for our purposes, we will click on the English webinar courses. But I'll take you down to the different courses before we go to the webinar. The material that have been developed are all in this site. You can see we have the guidance documents. That one is in PDF. All our documents are in PDF. If you want to use the training modules to meet stakeholders' needs, then the guidance document is there. We also have the stakeholder curricula for different stakeholders. We have curricula developed for different stakeholders. So if you're training, for example, your custom officials, you just find the information there and you're able to develop the material as you need. We also have the training manuals, and for our purposes, we will look at registering information on the BCH Central Portal. We also have more material on registering national information and sharing information on the BCH. As that opens, I will show you the other material. We also have interactive modules. These are very interesting because they have been prepared they're in audio form, and you can listen in and see. You read along as you go along and see the exercises that have been made. The case studies that we spoke about, there are several case studies that have been designed applying the different concepts in the training module. And for the purposes of registering information, we have different case studies for registering information. Case study 16, for example, is an easy one, registering a contact person. Case study 17 is a reference record. If an organization or anyone wants to register a biosafety newsletter, that can be done. The reference guides, as I spoke about, they're also available. Okay, so this is the user guide on registering information. If you want to read in detail, kindly go to this website and you will find the guide on registering information on the BCH Central Portal. Okay. All right. I'm also going to show you the resources on the toolbar. If you go to the resources, you will find the different resources that are available. And for the purposes of today's session, we're going to use the BCH training site to do further training on registering information. So we ask ourselves, we are talking about registering information on the BCH. Who can register information in the BCH? To start with, I will say generally, everybody can register information on the BCH as long as they have access. Also, depending on the nature of information, whether it's a national record or it's a reference record, the access can be limited. Not everyone can register national information because this is information about a country. You cannot go and post information that is not factual about a certain country. Therefore, persons who have been designated to register the national information only have the access to do the national records. If it's a reference record, then you must also be registered and you will be limited to only reference records. The national information can be published only by the national focal point and national authorized users who have to pass the information through the national focal point before it is sent to the Secretariat for publishing. For reference information or reference records, then one has to be a registered user. What are the types of national records? We've spoken of national records. There are different types of national records. And according to the Cartagena Protocol on biosafety, countries have to register basic information. This is information such as the national focal point, their national websites or database regarding material that is relevant to the protocol, living modified organisms. Competent national authorities also have to be registered. When a country passes any law or regulation or guideline or goes into a regional or international agreement that has reference to the Cartagena Protocol or deals with living modified organisms, then that information has to be published on the Biosafety Clearinghouse. When a country takes a decision or makes any communication about a living modified organism, then that information has to be uploaded on the BCH. When risk assessments have been generated through the due process, regulatory process, that information also has to be uploaded. When a country appoints biosafety experts, or when a country makes a report on the assignment that the biosafety expert has undertaken, that information also has to be recorded, and all this information are considered as national records. We have also spoken about the national focal point. The national focal point is the person who has the mandate to publish the national information, the information about that country relating to the protocol, and the information is published in the BCH. This is the person who is the link between the country and the secretariat, the liaison between the country and the secretariat for all matters related to the Biosafety Clearinghouse. The national focal point is nominated by the country. There are two types of national focal points. There's a national focal point on the Cartagena Protocol. There's a national focal point on the BCH. And countries also have, since the Cartagena Protocol is a protocol under the bigger convention, CBD national focal point, you can also have a different focal point as CBD. The country, either whether you call them the permanent secretary or whether it is the minister or the secretary of state, appoints, these are internal procedures. They appoint the national focal point, and then the letters of accreditation are sent and addressed to the CBD, the secretariat, with the details of the person who's been appointed. Therefore, the secretariat cannot appoint this person. This person is appointed by the government, that the person is, the information is being uploaded. Apart from the national focal point, we also have national authorized users. National authorized users are persons who have been registered by the country so that they are able to assist the national focal point to input national information in the BCH. Remember, we say that this information is extensive. You will find one person giving information related to the laws, biosafety laws, for instance, or you will find somebody giving information related to LMO, animals or plants, or risk assessments, or general agreements, for instance. And not one person can have the source, this information, or the different offices may be in different cities in our country. So this information has to be collected, organized, and published. So different persons can be given the different roles so that they are in charge of the specific information. When they collect that information, they pass that information on to the national focal point, and the national focal point uploads or publishes the information. They therefore have to work in coordination with the national focal point. A national authorized user cannot publish information directly. It has to go through the national focal point. And once it is validated, then it becomes public information. There is no limit as to the number of national authorized users a country may have. A country may have as many national authorized users as it deems necessary. We already had our first session in this. This is the second part of this recording on the National Authorized Users Management. And you can find that recording on the webinar. We are going to see, using the Biosafety Clearinghouse training site, the different roles that the National Focal Point plays, and also the role that the National Authorized User plays, and you will see how the information is published. So I'm going to go to the training site, and we will see, first we'll start with the role of the National Focal Point. I don't know if there are any questions at this stage or comments. Okay, if there are no questions or comments, we're going to go to the training site so that we see how to register information as the focal point. For our purpose today, we are going to use the training site, because with the training site, it's a mirror of the BCH, of the live site, and on the training site we can play about with information without posting information that is not factual on the real BCH site. Okay, you need to log in. You need to log in as a user, and as I said when we started, you have to have the access. So I've logged in using my address, and I am here in the training site. So I will select the training space. I'll select the public BCH training. I have selected the government of Swaziland, and to start with, we will train as the BCH National Focal Point. Okay. When you get to this page, you will be given basic information about the Management Center, registering information, and it will tell you, for instance, that we are in the training site. On the left-hand menu here, you can see the different types of information that can be done on this site. So you can register a new record, you can edit a published record, you can edit a draft. If you're working on a draft, then you can continue editing it. You can record a status, and you can look at national record completeness. I can also be able to see information on my personal account. Therefore, I can play around with my profile. I can change my password, and when I want to sign out, when I'm done, then I click on sign out. And since I am logged in as the national focal point, then I have the administration role. Therefore, I'm able to see the national authorized users and assign roles, role management. and just know how to work with the national authorized user. If I sign in as a national authorized user, then I'll not have these two roles. When we do the second part, I will show you that part as well. As we scroll down, you will see here that I have the message on how to manage my records. So if there's any record that requires my attention, it will show here, records requiring your review and validation before they are published, and it will show the status here. And as it is currently, there are no records that are pending. Okay, so we are going to register a new record, and I'll click on that. When you get to register a new record, there are several things that you will see on this page. You will see, for example, that if you have to submit information can be submitted, and there's what we call common formats. You just do not create your own form and submit information. Already the format of how information is to be given, so that they're all standard, has been set. Therefore, we do have the offline. Should you have problems with internet, then we have the offline in the there are 6 UN languages. And if you have problems with the internet, you can download whatever forms that you need. If you're doing, for example, the website, you can download the form either in Arabic, in English, in Spanish, in French, in Russian, or in Chinese. You download the form, you complete the form offline, and when you're ready to, or when the internet is up again, or when you're ready to submit the information, then you come and upload it. We also have the online format. The online format, you just click on it and it will come. So we are going to look at it in a short while. The fields that are mandatory, when we look at the form, we will see that the fields that are mandatory are marked with a red asterisk. Records will not be published and cannot be published if you have not completed the mandatory information. And when you go and save, the information will automatically come up and tell you that you need to complete that information. And once it is completed, then you can save the record and publish it. Go ahead to publish. Because I am signed in as a national focal point, I'm able to see registering national records, and I'm also able to see registering reference records. If I do not have access to register national information, then I will not be able to see registering national records. I'll only see registering reference records. So back on registering national records, we have said, and I emphasize again, if you feel that I'm repeating this too much, I think it's for the purpose of emphasizing that only two categories of people, the BCH national focal point and the national authorized users, are the ones who can provide national records. Okay? So the different national records that can be given, for example, national focal point. Every country has to select a national focal point to the biosafety clearinghouse and a national focal point on the biosafety, on Cartagena Protocol on biosafety. Contact points also may be given for different roles. You may have a contact point, for example, for an intentional transboundary movement and emergency measures that you can submit under national focal point. If you have a national website, then or database, you can submit that information. If you have different competent national authorities, you must submit that information. If you're registering a law, a regulation or guideline or agreements, then that is the link. If you have made decisions, then that information has to be recorded. Information that has been generated by a regulatory process regarding risk assessment also can be recorded. Biosafety experts, reports on the assignment taken by the biosafety experts, all these are considered as national records. So for today's exercise, as the national focal point, we are going to try and register a national, competent national authority, and I will click on the online format. If the internet was slow, then I would have clicked on the English offline format. I would get the form and go complete the form at my convenience, then come and upload it. So for today's exercise, we are going to click on Competent National Authority. Looks like the internet is slow. Okay. I had sort of opened a different, so we'll get this from the Competent National Authority. And as I said, every field that is mandatory is marked with the asterisk. You will see when we signed in for the country as Swaziland, and that is automatically given because we already signed in as Swaziland. If when I sign in as a different country, the country will automatically be generated. So what is the name of the competent authority? My internet is not behaving. Okay. Ernesto, I think I'm going to request for Ernesto's assistance because my internet is a bit slow.
Yes.
Ernesto?
Yep.
Can I request that you take over this, at least just this part, because my internet is not behaving. I'm unable to.
What do you need me to do?
Do you want to show how to complete this form?
Is it competent national authority?
Yes.
Just a second.
Thank you.
Okay. Good morning and good afternoon to everybody. Let me help Rachel with showing how to complete the records, the national records, like for example competent national authority. I'll change to my screen now. Okay, I will just go into the training site and select any country. Just will log in as a national focal point. Once you are a national focal point and you are working on the real BCH Management Centre, on the left hand side you see the menu, and you can from there go to register a new record. Then if you are a national focal point or a national authorized user, you will have the possibility of accessing the national records, for example the competent national authority. So we click on the icon, and there it opens for us the national authority record, where there are several fields to be mandatory filled, like for example the country that will be already assigned, and then we have the city. I will just put some very simple information here, not real at all. City, you have to select the country here, can be anyone, and then there is a contact number for email address, or the email from the institution, a contact person that you can select from an already existing record, or you can create a new record. If you have already registered some contacts, you will have a list here. If you haven't, you have the possibility to start the new record also now. So I will start a creation of a new record, a contact, and you see here that there is the form for the contact is embedded into the competent national authority form. So we will finish this one first, and then we go back to the previous one. Ministry of Health, for example, and government agency. Country can be Afghanistan. Continue. Okay, when we are ready to go, we can press on the review button, and then if something is missing, we will have this kind of messages. There are some errors here. There are some mandatory fields that haven't been proceeded yet, so we can go straight to those fields. We just press on edit, and okay, have to fulfill the phone number and an email address. We can save changes, and this is ready. We go back to the competent national authority. So I have selected my name as a contact. Then we have these other important fields to be marked that are administrative functions for the competent national authority. We have to select whatever applies to this specific institution. This was Ministry of Health, so we can select Human and Animal Health, and the other one is type of LMOs under its jurisdiction. Here we will mark which kind of LMOs will be subject to decision from this agency. For instance, we will mark just all types of organisms. So we press on review, and we see that we still have some things to fill, like the phone number. And there is an interesting thing on page 3 that you see. There is this field that is called time frame. Excuse me. Time frame for confirmation or updating of information. For several fields in the BCH, now there is a time frame for confirming it, because some data from the, for example, laboratories or competent national authorities or even contacts may change as time passes. So After a certain time, you will have you will receive an email asking, as a focal point, asking you to confirm the information or to update it. Okay, so once this is filled, we can go to save changes, and as we said before, we have two possibilities here. We can save the record as a draft. For example, if we are going to continue working on it tomorrow, we can just save it as a draft, and when we come back, we can continue working on the same record, or submit it for publishing. As I am the focal point now, when I press on submit for publishing, the record will go straight to the public site of the BCH. So, and we will see okay, once the record is published, we see its status as being published. Okay, Rachel, do you want to continue?
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Ernesto.
You're welcome.
Once the record is published, because the person is the national focal point, the information goes straight to the Secretariat, and the Secretariat is able to publish it as the national information. On the other hand, if it was the national authorized user, the same process follows. The national authorized user, excuse me. The national authorized user is able to complete the information in the same manner, but when it comes to publishing, the national authorized doesn't publish the information directly, but sends it to the national focal point. The national focal point is able to verify that information, goes through and sees that the information is complete, and will either approve it or will send it back to the person who generated it and ask for more particulars or better particulars or correction. So the message will be edit this information, and they will show the areas that need to be edited, or the national focal point will completely refuse to publish that information, therefore reject the information. If internet will allow, I will show the role of the national authorized user. Okay, I'm going to change the settings so that I'm able to log in as the national authorized user. For some reason, my internet is just misbehaving today. Okay, this is not working very well. For the national authorized user, as I've said, the role of putting the information is in the same manner. The person will be assigned the particular role to play. If you are putting information relating to risk assessment, you collect that information. You collect that information, and I'll try closing most of the windows so that I just have, okay. Okay. That is not working. Right. So for the national authorized user, the information is sent to the national focal point, and the national focal point either accepts that information as it is and publishes it, or rejects it or asks for additional information. On the other hand, you will have registering of reference material. Before we go to reference material, I'm just going to summarize registering national information. We've been able to see for national information there are different categories of national information, and two clusters of people who can put that information. That is the national authorized user or the national focal point. The type of material that can be put is created, or is either updated or it's deleted. You can select different languages. I think we want to show you that if you select all the 5 languages and you put it only in English, the translation will not be done for you. If you select all the languages, then you must put the information in all these languages. The mandatory fields have to be completed. Whatever is mandatory, you were able to see from Ernesto's screen. The fields that he did not complete, the message came and asked for the fields to be completed. Time frame for confirmation or updating, Ernesto was also able to show you that within 3 months you are to update this information. I think the Secretariat is being very proactive by ensuring that countries are able to not just be submit the basic information and go away and forget. Therefore, every now and then you must be able to go back and check your information and keep it updated. You're also able to see how to review your pages, and when you're done, you save, and if you're national focal point, you publish. If you are the national authorized user, it's not directly published, but it's submit the record. We are now going to see the flow of, this is a flow chart to show the flow of information. You must know what type of record it is. If it is a national record, you must know what kind of user you are. If you're a national focal point, we have said the national focal point generates the information and publishes it immediately, validates it himself or herself, and publishes it. When he clicks or she clicks on publish, then the information becomes public. But if it's the national authorized user, it's definitely a national record. The record is sent to the national focal point for validation, and the national focal point will either validate it or refuse it. If the national focal point validates the information, then he will click on validate, yes, accept the record, and it becomes published, therefore it is public. Or if it is no, if he rejects the information, then the national focal point will either request for additional changes, and it will go back to the national authorized user to change the information that has been asked to change or to provide additional information as requested, or the national focal point can choose to cancel that publication altogether and the information will not be published. So you can see that the national focal point is a very powerful person. The other type of record is a reference record. Reference information or reference records may be submitted by any registered user. These are records that are subject to review and validation by the Secretariat before they are published. It is not the national focal point who will review and publish. This information is sent directly to the Secretariat, and the Secretariat will review, validate it, and publish it. The different types of reference information that can be provided are, for example, contact details. If you have, for example, a reference laboratory, you'll give the details of the people in charge of that laboratory, for instance. So you say these are the contact details. If you have capacity building activities, courses, opportunities, projects related to anything to do with under the Cartagena Protocol, then you can give that sort of record on the BCH and give the contacts, and people will be able to liaise with you. Countries or persons may have certain capacity building needs, and they carry out a needs assessment, and they're able to provide that information. For example, a university can say, we need to train students on risk assessment, and they publish that kind of information on the BCH. A certain university can decide, let's say in the Netherlands, can decide to liaise with the university in Swaziland and train the needs that, build on the needs that have already been assessed and put in the BCH Management Centre. Organizations may, for example, have detection labs or identification of LMOs labs, and they need for other people who want to use these labs to use them, and that will be a perfect place to put your information. We also have the BAC, the Biosafety Information Resource Center, biosafety news, risk assessment that may be generated by, not through the regulatory process, by an independent person, and other information that is not necessarily national information. This is all under reference information. So who is entitled to register this kind of information, and who will eventually validate it? How will it flow from the time it is generated to the time that it is published as reference material? All this, I think, if we look at the reference, we'll go back on the site and okay. When we started, I said because I'm logged in as the national focal point, I'm able to see either to register national records or to register reference records. So for this particular instance, I'm going to try and register a reference record. And as I've said, it can be either a contact detail, a capacity building activity or opportunity, a capacity building needs assessment, a lab, back information center, biosafety news, risk assessment, or an LMO. So we are going to try and register one of them. I hope it works. Okay. I think I'm undergoing the same problems, and I'll call on Ernesto's help to register a reference record. Ernesto?
Yes.
Registering a reference record.
You need to change your settings and go to leave or leave the training site and join again as a registered user. You are now as a NAU, but anyway you can register reference record from there.
But my internet is not behaving, so I'll need for you to take over this and show on your screen.
Okay, I'll change to my screen. Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, when we are just a registered user, not a national authorized user, not a national focal point, and we go to the management center, we just under the register a new records section, we will just see the links to register reference records. For example, it can be contact details or capacity building activities or BCH news or risk assessment generated by a non-government institution, or even LMOs. For example, if we were a laboratory, we could be developing a new LMO and we would register it in the BCH using this place. Let's take a look at this entry. Living modified organisms. We have several instructions on the main page. We need to first register the contact of the developers, the organism, the donor organism, the genetic element, and so on. So let's go quickly seeing the different mandatory fields. Again, the ones marked by a red asterisk are the mandatory fields. For example, this one, HTX. We can have a unique identifier if we have already got one, but if not, we can even if we don't have a unique identifier, we can register the LMO, and then the secretariat will, in coordination with the OECD, will allow us for a unique identifier and put it on the site. So if we do have a unique identifier, we say yes, and we have to register the unique identifier. If not, we just leave this field as no. We can put the contact information here. Excuse me. So again, we have to create a new record here for the contact information in this case, because it's a different country. Let's see. Briefly introduce the main phone number. And then we can publish this contact and continue with this is a new demo. We can select everything for recipient organism. Let's go to page number 2, techniques used for the modification. Then introduce or modify genetic elements. We can select from the list of the gene registry here, or we can create a new entry in the gene and DNA registry. Some notes, modify traits, and finally, let's go to page number 3. There is the time frame field, again, time frame for confirmation or updating of information. In this case of the LMO, there is no time frame mandatory. So we can save changes and submit it for publishing. And now you will see that the different process now is that once this registered user has submitted the record for publishing, it will remain as pending approval, and it will be validated by the secretariat instead of the case of the national record that is being validated by the national focal point. In this case, it is a reference record, and so it will be validated by the secretariat. So here it will be as pending approval until the secretariat validates it, and then it will change as published once it goes public in the BCH servers. Hey Rachel, I'll change the screen back to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Ernesto, for
you're welcome.
sorting me out. Sometimes we get these challenges. Okay. Back to the presentation. We've been able to see a reference record and how it is different from a national record. We have been able to see the different types of reference records, and now in particular, Ernesto has shown us how to record an LMO. So as this flow chart will show, for a reference record, if it is a reference record, you must know what type of record it is, and it is forwarded to the secretariat for validation. So you generate it, you complete the form, and forward it to the secretariat. The secretariat will decide whether to validate it or not. If they validate it, then it automatically goes to publication when they validate it. If they refuse to validate it, the secretariat will request for additional information, and you go back and correct it and send it back the normal way for validation. And if it's complete, then it's published and it becomes a public record. If they refuse to publish it, then they will cancel the request to publish, and the information is not published. So as a recap and in winding up, we have been able to see that anyone can register information on the BCH Management Centre as long as you're registered and you have the access codes. Using the Moodle platform, we have been able to find, and you will find detailed guidelines and exercises about this education material, the training courses, and specifically about the BCH registering information. When it comes to national records, we have been able to see the different types of national records that can be registered. We have been able to see the role of the national focal point vis-a-vis the role of the national authorized user, and the role of the national focal point as the liaison between the country and the secretariat. We've also been able to see the different types of reference information, and we've been able to see how to use the training, BCH training. It's a mirror of the real BCH site, and here you can do a lot of exercises and carry out trainings so that people are able to understand how to use the BCH for finding information and for registering information. Are there any questions or concerns or comments?
Rachel, there is
no questions.
yeah, there's a question by.
No comments. I would like.
Sorry, Rachel. There is a
Yes.
question by Melanie Johnson.
Okay.
That says, should we submit as a reference report LMOs that have received permission for field trials within the country? I will open the microphone for Melanie. Melanie, you have the floor.
Yes, we have a number of LMOs that are being used in field trials, and we're not sure if we should report these LMOs into the biosafety clearinghouse mechanism as long as they're only being used in field trials nationally. What is the status? What is our obligation under the Cartagena Protocol? Should we submit them to the biosafety clearinghouse mechanism?
Okay.
Okay.
Let me handle this question.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, Melanie, thank you very much for your question. That is a very, very important one, and it's very normal, very common that countries ask this question. According to the Cartagena Protocol, if you are putting an LMO in the ground in your country, that is releasing to the environment. The only exception would be contained use, but contained use refers to a closed laboratory. It doesn't refer to a plantation, even when it is a test. When it goes to the environment, it's a release into the environment, and then Article 7 would apply. That is Article 7 for the release into the environment of an LMO.
So that means we are obligated to do it?
Yeah, I think you would be under Article 7 of the protocol, so you should follow the procedure of that is stated in Article 7, that is called FFP. Sorry, FFP, AFP, AIA, Advanced Informant Agreement.
Okay.
It's the exception is contained use, and it's very clearly specified under the protocol.
Okay.
Thank you for the question. There is a raised hand by Eric. Eric, you have the floor.
Hello.
Hi, Eric. How are you doing?
Go ahead.
Yeah, Ernesto, thank you very much, and thank you also, Rachel, for the presentation. I have a question, a very brief question, which is related to what Melanie just asked. And I also, two questions, okay. The first question is, are parties expected to put on the BCH risk assessments or review of applications for confined field trials and contained use? Are parties again expected to put on the BCH decisions made on such applications? I mean, for confined field trials and contained use, I would need a clarification on that. Not for environmental release, but for contained use and confined field trials. Thank you. That is the first question. I'll ask the second question after the answer, please.
Okay. All right. For risk assessment, I think countries need to put information on risk assessment, because these are studies that go towards helping other people to know how that was arrived at. It's scientific information. It's scientific information that has been generated, and therefore I think countries are obliged to put risk assessments. A lot of countries are not putting because they're saying we don't have information, but they've got a lot of risk assessments that they are carrying out, and this information should be put on the BCH.
Yeah,
when it comes to
even if the application is for confined field trials and or contained use.
Right, because the scientific information, it's generated material that will help, might help a country towards going from contained to confined, from confined to commercialization. Right.
Okay.
But decisions on contained use are not mandatory, but a country can choose to put it. A country can choose to put it, but it's not mandatory.
Right.
On contained use.
Okay. That's clear enough. Right. That's clear enough. My second question is, you see, this forum or online discussion, online exposure is very good. It's very good. And I wanted to find out whether the various authorized users we've trained through the BCH1 and BCH2 projects were invited, to participate, because I think this is a very good refresher course for all of us, focal points and as well as the national authorized users. So were they invited? If not, can they be invited to subsequent discussions like this?
Okay. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Eric. Yes, indeed, all the invitations for the webinars go through the forum that has been set up by the Secretariat for national authorized users and national focal points. So normally I send invitations on two ways. One is the BCH National Focal Points Forum, and the other is our virtual learning environment database. So normally these invitations should be reaching around 3,000 or 4,000 people. I have no way of knowing if people is effectively receiving them or not, but the invitations are going out to these two forums. But in any case, we are very happy if you want to distribute the invitation to whoever you feel may benefit from these webinars, because that's our aim. And lastly, you remember we have this webinars website, so the video recordings will be there just some minutes after we finish the webinar. So if somebody for any reason cannot attend at a specific moment, they can even use the video later and the presentation that will be uploaded also.
Right, okay. Right, that's very good. I saw one of our authorized users online, Andrew, and I was very happy for that. But I think, yes, I have to send a reminder or information to all of them that when they receive any information from you regarding this activity, they should try and log on, because it's very helpful, and to them it's going to be a refresher course, and they need to get that, so that they can be active as authorized users.
Of course, if you know somebody that has that is not in the list of the BCH National Focal Point Forum, or is not registered in our Moodle platform, just send us the name, an email, and we will register them, and so they will be receiving all the news and invitations from our virtual learning environment. I see a hand raised by Andrew. Andrew, I will open the floor for you.
Okay.
Andrew, you have the microphone.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Ernesto. Yeah, in fact, I've been receiving all your messages, but currently I'm in Australia, and I think the time difference is not helping at all. But I think henceforth I'll try and then stay awake and participate, because it's very useful. I've learned a lot this evening. My regards to all of you, and then to Mr. Eric Okore.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Is there any other question? Regarding this important point that Melanie has raised and Eric has addressed, I would suggest you to contact the Secretariat if you want. We can help you to contact the correct people in the Secretariat that is specifically dedicated to the legal affairs and legal aspects of the protocol, so you could very concretely pinpoint this issue with the Secretariat and have the very official word of them. If you want, I just send me an email and I will forward your question or issue to the correct people in the Secretariat. We'll put you in contact with them.
Okay.
Okay, I see no more questions, Rachel.
All right. I wish to thank you all for taking your time to participate in this important seminar. And for the questions, for the attendance, I thank you. I thank you also, Ernesto, for bailing me out in terms of technological challenges, and for the guidance that you have given through the entire 2 sessions. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Rachel. Thank you, everybody, for attending this webinar, and we invite you to join us for the next ones. Have a good morning or good afternoon.